everybody. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of Box Seats. I'm your host, Frank Holder. I'm here with the comedians known as Fig, the comedian known as Talent, and my man Stack with the facts. We getting ready to drop.
Stacks is back.
Stacks is back. Okay,
he jumped out. He came in and out.
He's coming back. He's coming back. His wife, he's walking around. He's coming. He's coming to the show. Anyway, these comedians, you guys have seen in films. You've seen them in television shows. You've seen them in comedy specials. You've seen them doing stand-up in a city near you. You've seen them everywhere. Now you're seeing them on a sports comedy. Well, we talk, like I said, sports. We do everything to talk sports. That's what we do. We talk sports. We have a great conversation about sports. We argue about sports sometimes, but we just, we talk sports. So let me just say this. We get ready to do the COVID report real fast. Let me jump into that real fast and just say the COVID report is Joel Embiid and Simmons is going to be out Thursday for COVID protocol, continuing on from that haircut they got that, the NBA is taking special chances about that, special care about that. Now let's jump into the show. Talent, I'm going to start out with you, bro. I'm going to start out with you.
Yes, sir.
David Price.
I just want to say that's a hell of a haircut, huh?
Yeah, right.
It's a hell of a haircut.
The haircut is the haircut that keeps on paying. In Major League Baseball, David Price, one of the best pitchers and one of the highest paid pitchers for the Los Angeles Dodgers, used to play for the Red Sox. Before that, played for the Devil Rays, Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Right now, there's a big turmoil going on with him in the LA Dodgers. The LA Dodgers now, if you're not familiar, the LA Dodgers are stacked. I mean, stacked.
Right.
Stacked.
Stacked over.
They're so stacked that they're discussing whether or not David Price should be a starter or a relief pitcher. They have a concern, and they want to have him come off and be a relief pitcher. So Stack, so Talent, I'm gonna ask you: do you think the Dodgers would be great in having one of the best pitchers who even won a World Series ring with the Red Sox coming off as a relief pitcher? What's your thoughts?
I think it don't make a difference. Somebody got to do it. When you have a stacked team, somebody gonna have to be the relief. You know what I mean? And I mean, he got the ring, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't think it would bother him that much. Once you achieve that accolade, that level of success, it's like you can kind of humble yourself and step back a second, and that might change again. You know what I mean? But for right now, if you're stacked, I mean, somebody got to come off the bench. Like, even if he starts, whoever that next person is going to be the same argument and discussion. So I think either way they're gonna win. They're stacked. They're crushing it.
Yeah, they're definitely crushing it. Fig, what's your thoughts?
I'll just tell you, my philosophy is more money, less work. And coming off the bench, he ain't got to work that hard. They ain't cutting his salary. So what does it matter if you get on there and you play 7 innings, 8 innings, or you just come out there and you be the closer? And let me tell you something, man. You can make a nice career out of being one of the top closers in Major League Baseball. One name, Mariano Rivera.
Yeah, most definitely. Stack, my man Stack, good to have you back. Bro, let me ask you, David Price has been known to be a prima donna. So, do you think he really cares about whether or not he is going to start or close? What do you think?
No, I don't think he cares because, like you said, more money, less work. Not only that, the team is stacked, so they already know it's going to be a rotation. They're probably going to be resting their starters. Their starting pitching lineup, probably cycling everybody through relief just so that guys can be fresh for the playoffs.
Right. I think that's the best way to do it. I think they're going to be really smart to do that too, man. Staying on the baseball for one more question. Steven Strasburg came in yesterday. He did 1 2/3 inning. He struck out 4 out of 6 batters. The league is looking at trying to make him the star guy right now because he throws 100 miles an hour, 100 to 102 miles an hour. But the thing is the pressure of being able to put that on your arm, that puts other pressure on other pitchers too to try to step up their game. I'm not sure if that's a good thing to always try to put that type of pressure on major league pitchers to always continuously throw at 100 miles an hour because this dude's been out for a whole year. You know what I mean? The repercussions of trying to push that up. I would be concerned if I'm Steven Strasburg. If you're Steven Strasburg and the pressure is on you like that, what's your thoughts, man, on doing that?
Well, I mean, it's a lot of pressure, but I mean, isn't that what they're there for? Like when you're playing at a high level, I think you're saying I'm ready for the pressure. If not, you stay in the minors or you do less. I mean, there's a lot of pressure, but this is baseball, bro. Like these guys are there for the sole reason of trying to get to the World Series and hopefully winning it.
Right.
Take the pressure, brother. I know pressure bust pipes, but we'll see what you're made of. Are you Teflon? You know what I mean? Are you the old rusty metal that they no longer using? Or are you Steven Strasburg? Are you that guy?
Right. Washington Nationals, man, they're putting pressure on Steven Strasburg, man. What do you think, Fig? You think this is a good thing? Even though he only came back and pitched just a small amount of time, what do you think?
You need time to come back from an injury, man, especially when you get later in the career. It's something about sports, man. It's like only the commentators take into consideration Father Time, as if as long as you playing, you can still play at a high level. Like a dude in his 30s can still play at the same level of a dude who's in his 20s. No, that ain't happening. That ain't happening no place. Let me tell you, whatever you did in your 20s, when you get to your 30s, it ain't the same, baby. That's all I'm trying to tell you. When a guy come off an injury in his 30s and throw a pitch 100 miles an hour, ain't there a speed limit in baseball?
Nope. Can we keep this show on Sports, Fig? Do we have to talk about your marriage every episode?
I want to talk about me, baby.
Oh.
All right, let me ask Stack. Stack, man, my man Stack. Steven Strasburg out for carpal tunnel. Very, 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 very concerning type of injury. Like what Talent and Fig said. Concern?
I think that it's in the team's best interest and his best interest to just pay attention to what the training staff, like the health staff, have to say. As long as he stays within their guidelines, I think he'll be fine. He's gonna compete. Yeah. He's always been a competitor, so
he's
gonna do what he does.
Let's talk about the next thing.
Hold on, Frank. 1 second. I would like to give an honorable mention to that being the best background Stacks has had since he's been on the show.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong.
No, that's the best. That's a dope background.
My Mexico background was a little better, but Hey.
All right. Let me just throw this out there and just say this real fast. There's been some changes in the NFL last night. A lot of changes happened last night in the NFL. I'm not sure if we caught a lot of people yet, but let me just say this. The salary cap got lowered from $198 million to $182.5 million as of right now. There's been a lot of casualties. Talent. I'm expecting to see a lot of people cut, and I've seen some people cut right now. This morning, I saw the Saints released Emmanuel Sanders, and just a whole bunch of different things are happening with the salary cap. Should a lot of teams be sitting there with their thoughts saying, okay, we might be able to lower our expectations of people we thought we could get, might be able to get somebody come in here, sign them low, and then stretch it out for a longer period of time beginning of next year, because salary cap changes next year. What's your thoughts on that?
Right. I just think it's hilarious. Like when that news comes across the board, are there a bunch of players at home like, oh man, it's messing with my money, or you know what I mean? Yeah. I think about it because as an organization is one thing, it's a one thought process. As a player, if you're one of those guys that's waiting to get some money, you're like, damn, I thought it was going to happen this year, and then it turns around, you're one of those guys that didn't happen for. I think that's the mentality of the organizations, though. It's gonna behoove them. It reminds me of the stimulus package where they spent all these millions and billions of dollars to the corporations at the top to bail them out, but when you come down, the trickle down effect is no good. This is going to help the organizations. They're definitely going to be able to. Oh, okay, so the asking price is going to drop low. Not only that, because people want to be signed now. It's definitely going to help you longevity-wise if you're an organization or who you want to sign. Yeah,
most definitely. Fig, your thoughts?
Man, now this goes back to to these guys, these players talking about they want long-term and guaranteed contracts, because the organization, the NFL, has proven that when it comes to their bottom line, they're gonna cut you. So giving these hometown discounts and making sure that the team got enough money so they can get other players and all that stuff like that, that's a bunch of garbage. These billionaires are not missing a dime. They just passing on their losses to the team to the tune of millions of dollars and cutting all of these players, you know what I mean? Because they the one who set the cap. It's not 50-50 like the NBA. Man, I tell you, the NFL, man, is the closest thing to a plantation that we got in professional sports, man. The NFL got a pigeonhole. It's the closest thing. I'm not saying it's slavery because these guys are making millions of dollars, but it's close. They're practically very close.
It's funny you say that, though, the analogy, because working with Bo Jackson over the last years, like we had the same agent, so we had a lot of meetings. And when they would leave us alone, bruh, man, myself, and him, we were working on these TV shows. That's how he described the NFL. Like Bo Jackson, his resentment for the NFL, he was like, dude, it's literally like a slave trade.
Yeah, I heard that several times. Stack, what's your thoughts on this, bro?
Same thoughts, man. NFL is a slave trade. The cap's getting removed or lowered, but the billionaires, they're still going to make more money. So the ownership's not affected. You know, it's not going to change the viewership. Only people that really get affected are players on the low end that, you know, are just trying to fight to get a job. The guys that don't have hundreds of millions of dollars to fall back on. So it's actually bad news, you know, in my opinion. But I mean, what can you do? The Players Association in the NFL needs to do a better job of getting more equity like the Players Association did in the NBA.
Let me just throw this out there. And you know how I have my Pelican briefs? I'm going to say this real fast because I want to jump in something else too. It's amazing how the salary cap lowered, right, at the upcoming NFL season. Meanwhile, everything's opening up. People are going to make more money. So like what Fig said, the owners are going to benefit the most because the country's opening up the most. People are starting to come back the most. It'd be one thing if the salary cap was last year going into last season when there was no, people in the audience or anything else. There are people getting ready to come back. You know what I mean? People, the stadiums are getting ready to open up. Everything's opening up, but the salary cap is lowering. That don't make no sense to me.
You know why they probably doing it for him? The money that they lost last year, they gonna make up this year.
I just want to say, I know why. I mean, it's pretty obvious they're gonna make that back. But the thing is, the people who are working out the most to help them make that money are gonna suffer first. You know what I mean? That's what really has my issues up. But speaking of ownership, I'm gonna come back to the NFL in a hot second. I'm not sure if you all are aware, but I got a press release this morning saying that the XFL and the CFL are having conversations about merging. The XFL is owned by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and his ex-wife, Danny Garcia, who Danny Garcia is also the CEO of the XFL. Here's the interesting part. When they merge, they're going to merge all the stars and teams. They're going to pick up all the people, the stragglers. They're going to get people from the Canadian Football League and everything else. What I don't think the NFL is taking a look at is they might be trying to put up something that could rival the NFL in 10 to 15 years because they're going to change the rules. So I'm saying pretty early on, I'm not sure if the NFL is seeing the long term. I don't know if it's the greatest thing. For the fans, it's a great thing, but that's just my 2 cents. Talent. When you hear the XFL, CFL emerging, what's the first thing that drops in your mind? First thing.
Well, the first thing, I think definitely competition with the NFL, but I don't think it might even take that long, Frank. I think you need to worry in the closer rather than the latter. I wouldn't even give them a 10, 12, 15-year cushion. The way things are changing and rapidly nowadays, 5, 6 years, man, there might be some real competition going on there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we're sitting there talking, how many times have we heard, oh, it's not fair, the union, it's a slave trade. You got a lot of things going against you to make this a quicker competition than you realize. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Right. Fig, I'm going to say this. If the NFL don't get it right and they have some people get really pissed off, like the Saints game when the Saints were going and they were supposed, that when the guy was supposed to make the catch and it was a clear interference call and they didn't call it, they have issues like that. NFL keeps having issues like that. It's going to open the door up for the XFL, CFL, in my opinion. What's your thoughts?
That pass interference at that game in that playoff game was huge. That was, I believe it was year before last. And the Saints really felt like that was their best opportunity to win because everybody was healthy. It was blatant. I mean, everybody that saw that on TV was like, dude, Like it doesn't get any, any more blatant than that. That was pass interference. And something else that you said, Frank, it doesn't even have to get to the point where it's because of the refereeing and stuff like that. What if you just have disgruntled players like Deshaun Jackson with the Texans, and they talking about, oh, we're gonna hold you, we're not gonna trade you, we'll let you sit out the year and we'll just keep finding you money. What if you say, you know what? Tell you what, keep your contract. I'm not playing with the NFL no more. And then he goes sign with this other organization. I don't know what they're gonna call it because it's a merger. But what if he just signs with this other team? That's what makes. Look, there's nothing like competition to make people get their act together.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, you brought up a great point. But the thing is contractually, will they be allowed to play in the CFL? That new merger. I don't even know if they would be allowed to do that because they have contracts right now that don't allow certain players to play, like pick up basketball, things like that, because you might get hurt and everything else in case you come back. You know what I mean? I don't even know if they could, but it's a great point. I'm not knocking that point.
What they gonna do?
Yeah,
what they gonna do? I mean, if he walked away from the NFL,
but what he's saying is we don't know the extent of the contract, though. The contract may have that extent where it supersedes just the NFL. Like he said, some contracts you can't do two sports. So that means that's another sport outside the NFL. Some of these contracts hold you all the way, and some are looser than others. We don't know. But that's a good point.
Some contracts don't even allow you to play pickup basketball. It depends,
because they're afraid you get injured. So I think what the contract says is you can't go play pickup basketball and still play for us. He was like, so I'm not going to play for you.
We've seen some NFL players that play rugby in Europe, guys that wrestle that still play in the NFL all the time. I don't think it's going to be. I haven't seen any like super restrictions like that because up until now the NFL hasn't really had any competition. I think with the CFL and XFL coming together, it will be competition because for one, there's just more football players. It's not like the NBA where it's a really small amount of guys that get in. With the NFL, there's a lot of guys that can still play football really at a very, very high level. And there's just not enough space for them to play. I think if you get a few big names over playing in the CFL, and then it's a wider field too, so like it spreads things out a little bit more. You'll get more highlights. I think they really can make a play to like challenge the NFL.
Yeah, this is what I think, and I could be wrong. This is what I think. If ESPN gets behind the CFL XFL merger, because it's The Rock, and The Rock has this great deal with NBC and everything else. Like he's got a huge deal with NBC and Universal. He makes all those movies and everything else. And since he owns, the CFL, the XFL, and he's trying to make a big play. This is what I think. I think if they make it exciting a little bit and everything else, they're gonna get the players who might be disgruntled and having contract issues and everything else. I think that could be a concern because a lot of those players who don't have any contract, who are not signed, can go to there, and they could be led by The Rock. You know what I mean? The Rock could literally say, guys, we could pay you this, but you know what I mean? Why? And come over here. That's my thought. Talent, what's your thoughts? Especially when me and The Rock is the head of it,
No, you hit the nail on the head. That's absolutely correct. And my thing is this, man. Like when we talk about contracts and what you can and can't do, you also got to take into consideration the linebacker, the 100 linebackers on the team, or the third string or the special teams. They're not going to have the same restrictions in their contract as a Deshaun Watson. Mm-hmm. When you have these super impactful players, there are going to be slight changes in there. So you may be a lineman that is allowed to go overseas and play rugby, whereas the Dak Prescott's and Deshaun Watson, they're not allowed to do anything.
Right.
So keep that in mind.
Yeah, Fig, it really depends on the rules. I think if a lot of people like the rules, that the rules have the new games and we, like, for example, with the slow motion, with pass interference and, all these kind of rules, I think if those rules are better in the XFL, CFL, I think the game will take off. I think the league will take off. What's your thoughts?
You know what is going to be really funny? Something that just occurred to me is what if you have these guys who really believe that they could still start, in the NFL on a certain level, and they're not really getting a shot. Like, your RG3s and your Winstons and stuff like that. The guys that say, yo, I want to play. I still can play at a high level. You just not giving me an opportunity. You got me sitting on the sidelines holding the clipboard while this other dude is in front of me. Why do you have to sit on the sideline?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you have to be a backup quarterback when you could be a starting quarterback on another league?
More importantly, why do they still have clipboards? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, and I don't want to talk too much long about this, but I will say this: the thing is, man, is it's all it takes is for one or two big names who we all know to go over there. If Johnny Manziel gets out of that league that he's playing with right now, he goes over there and he stars in that league, and he turns it, which I think he will do. You know what I mean? Or if they get I forgot what's the guy who won the championship in college, and then now I can't think of his name. Then he went to now he's a commentator for. I mean, just it depends on the players. You know what I mean?
Tony Romo?
No, not Romo. The guy who literally was just playing, and it'll come to me. He just won the championship a couple years ago. He's a big, huge Christian quarterback, white guy.
Tim Tebow.
God, I know who you're talking about.
Tim Tebow. If Tim Tebow goes over that league and he starts doing really well, everything else, you know what I mean? You can you see what I'm going with this?
That's how you know. That's how you know your football skills ain't that good. When the thing that made me remember the name was he's a huge Christian. That's all. Tim Tebow.
I couldn't think of
we couldn't think. I was like, "What are you talking about?" And you was like, "He's a huge Christian." I said, "Oh, Tim Tebow."
Yeah. Listen, I couldn't think of nothing to say.
That's hilarious. Yo, you got Tebow, you got Colin Kaepernick.
Right.
You know your boy Terrell Owens wants to still play.
Yeah, I'm saying
ain't nobody giving him a shot. Des Bryant. I'm telling you,
that's a big point. And you know what's going to happen too, now that we're talking about that, we got to realize as the years, that's why I say it's not a 10-year thing to me, it's like a 6-year thing, because as these people, these high profile players get to that tenure where are they going to retire or are they going to play, right? And the league tries to force you out, and you're just going to go over there. Like the Roethlisberger, we just had a conversation, what's going to happen with Roethlisberger? What's going to happen if Drew Brees, like these guys who are on the edge, and then the league is like, yo, nah, you done, son. You'd be like, well, I'm going to play with the Rock in them.
Yeah, Stack, we were talking since you fell out. Stack, we were talking about that the league, the XFL league could literally turn around because it's led by the Rock. And if it takes one big name player to go over to that league, and I think the Rock will buddy up with him, whoever that big name player is, who's on the aisle, who doesn't have a contract to go. And I think the doors will flood open. Because when Donald Trump did the XFL, it was Donald Trump. That's a completely different thing. Now, and this is Donald Trump before presidency. Now you got The Rock. He's very, very famous. All the Hollywood people love him. You know what I mean? He got a big contract at Universal. If he gets one of those players or two of those players to go, I think it'll be a huge exodus for what Talent and Fig is saying about guys who are sitting up there, you know what I mean, on that edge. What you think?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what's going to happen. It's very similar to like the big three. What I put together for the NBA.
Can you hear him? Can y'all hear him?
He's
no,
low.
I think you got to get your router out of that lake. The sound. We can't hear you.
Y'all hear me now?
Yeah, it's a little better. It's kind of muffled.
A little better. Sound like you in the water.
What about now? What about now?
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Now I was saying it's very similar to like the big three that Ice Cube put together for the NBA.
Yeah.
The difference is it's a higher level of play, and there are dudes that get forced out of the league. Names I'm thinking about like Des Bryant, Cam Newton, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
These are names that could literally just transition like right out of the NFL into that CFL, XFL situation.
That's a great comparison, though, because it is exactly like the big three.
Yeah, it really is. It's exactly
really
like
is, man.
That's a good name. And you know what? If The Rock ends up getting Cam Newton or Kaepernick, bro, that'll turn the whole
Kaepernick.
thing.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Kaepernick right away.
Wow.
Oh, let me tell you. And with the climate being what it is, if you get Kaepernick,
Yeah, and people tend to forget that The Rock is black. People keep always forgetting that. They look at him, they don't see.
Hey! Don't say that. You're gonna mess up his
But
deal.
he's a huge Christian.
All right, now let me continue on the conversation because we were talking about the salary cap and we were talking about salary cap casualties. Here's something I don't think everybody's paying attention to, right? The Dallas Cowboys right now are getting ready to have another issue. They just got rid of the Dak Prescott issue. They were, okay, we did that Dak Prescott. We good. They're happy with that. But guess what? Amari Cooper and Ezekiel Elliott's contracts now come up at the beginning of next year. And they literally can become a casualty and could end up in the XFL at the same thing because of, you know what, the money's going to be over on the XFL side. Not saying that it will happen, but Ezekiel Elliott and Amari Cooper, two of the big three that's in Dallas, literally could be out the door, and Dallas Cowboys could lose them at the end of the 2022-2023 season, which I don't think the Cowboys were even thinking of right now because they were so pressed with Dak Prescott. Talent. What's your thoughts when you hear about Amari Cooper and Ezekiel Elliott having upcoming issues with the Cowboys?
I like the way you said they were so pressed with Dak Prescott. That was dope. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think that again, what a difference a whole year can make. I think they got more than enough time, and they knew they had to get the big piece first because the big piece had a lot to do with how they deal with the next two pieces of their big three. I think a year is more than enough time to figure things out with these two guys, and I think winning is going to have a lot to do with it. So we need to watch how good or bad the Cowboys do going forward. That's going to be the difference in everything. If they're having a winning season and it's going great, everybody's going to play good. If they have a horrible season and can't bounce back and miss the playoffs again, now hell may break loose. That's what I think.
All right, Stack, I'm going to go to you because I know you can't stay much longer. Stack, what's your thoughts on this? Stack, I can't hear you.
Even if they lose Cooper and Elliott, I don't think that those guys would be candidates for the CFL, XFL type of deal. I do think the Cowboys will be in trouble, but I don't think that those guys would go. I think that maybe like some of the older dudes, like a Larry Fitzgerald type of guy, would end up in that situation. I do think that as far as competition goes, NFL wide, the lower salary cap, even though it'll affect the Cowboys in some negative ways, it'll affect every other team in the same way. So
but the Cowboys have overpaid for their quarterback. I don't care what nobody says. I think that they're going to suffer with that. So, Fig, what's your?
Well, not really.
I'm happy
they paid most of the bread up front. My bad.
I'm happy they paid him, but like I said, I think they're going to pay for that. I think they're going to pay for that. Fig, what's your thoughts?
First off, Talent threw me off with his analogy, man, talking about you got to get the big piece and then the other two pieces. He got me thinking about going to get some chicken for lunch. That's all I'm saying. I'm trying to get a 3-piece and a biscuit meal right now. Man, I think they needed to handle Dak because if they didn't handle Dak this year, if it was going to pay him $37 million, they were going to lose him. Jerry did something really cool. He put all of the money in a signing bonus, which makes the cap hit on the team really low, which freed up some money for him to possibly sign these other dudes. You know, that's
the beginning of this upcoming season. I'm talking about the season, the 2022 to 2023 season is when Ezekiel Elliott and those guys, then their thing comes up.
Oh, Zeke ain't getting no more money. You know, Zeke ain't getting no more money. We know Zeke ain't getting no more money. They done paid. They've been talking about they overpaid Zeke ever since he signed the contract.
And both those
Zeke
dudes
ain't ran for 100 yards since he got his money.
All right, well, let me ask somebody else who is about to join the show. I'm gonna ask my man Smokey Warren, Smokey, how you doing, brother? How's that, bro?
What up, y'all? What's good?
Smoke, you got a couple of dollars?
Yeah.
Smokey, thank you for joining the show, man. We appreciate you joining the show. Smokey, let me ask you this. Let me ask you, man, what you think about the Cowboys, Smokey? What you think about the Cowboys? How they doing things?
Wait up. Let me show you this. You see this? You see
That's
that?
why I had to call you.
Let me tell you what I think about the Cowboys. We about to step it up this year. We just
Oh my
got that good look. We got the number 6, and I'm hoping we catch Farley, the cornerback from Virginia Tech. I hope he slipped to us. All Dallas needs right now is one more good cornerback, a good safety, a big fat 370-pound defensive tackle to stuff that middle up. Yeah, that's our problem. And that's our problem. We don't got no fat niggas in the middle. Yeah, we got some fat niggas. They 270. You got to be fatter than to play defensive tackle. You know,
Smokey. There's a problem though. What y'all gonna do? What are you all gonna do about Amari Cooper and Ezekiel Elliott? What are the Cowboys gonna do about that? Because I know you're a huge Cowboys fan.
Oh,
How you gonna handle that?
handle what?
Keeping him. Keeping him.
What you said?
How are you all gonna be able to handle keeping Amari Cooper and Ezekiel Elliott? How you gonna keep him?
We could get Zeke. We went out there. Like Zeke is good. I ain't gonna lie, I like Zeke, but you could get any nigga to do what Zeke do, right? You know what I'm saying? If you put me back there, I could run for 1,200. Bro, the fucked up leg and everything. I could run for 1,200 right now. Yeah.
Somebody need to reach out to Smokey Swarm and Smokey and help that brother out, man. Because somebody need to help.
Pollard is just as good as Zeke. I back up Pollard, average more yards than Zeke. He's faster than Zeke, and he catch better than Zeke. And so we really don't need Zeke. We could cut Zeke ass and keep Amari because our receivers sick. Our receiver tandem, like we probably got the top 3 receiver tandem in the NFL right now. Amari Cooper, Lamb.
Smokey, do you work for Jerry Jones, bro? Because this don't make no sense.
Dedicated Dallas. Let me tell you something. When I was a kid, my mother bought me the football equipment in one box. I was trying to play football. She went to buy me some equipment. The football equipment came in one box back in the days. You got the helmet, the pants, the shoulder pads. It came in one box. It was and they called it suicide equipment.
Yeah.
Remember that? And my mom, the suicide helmet. And it was a Dallas Cowboy helmet. I was proud. It was shiny. And I went out to play with my boys, and these niggas had real helmets. These niggas had Rawlings and bike helmets. Nigga, I went out there the first day, a nigga hit me and cracked the helmet straight down the middle. I put tape on the helmet, right? I came back the next day with the tape. I taped it up. And I put the styrofoam from when you buy the new shit. I put all the styrofoam shit and taped it all inside my helmet to make extra padding and shit. That's what made me make. From that day on, I've been a Dallas Cowboy fan, and this shit happened when I was 11.
That makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense right there.
Makes a lot of sense.
I'm gonna tell you what happened. You had on the suicide helmet, and them dudes hit you. And you got brain damage, and that's why you a Cowboys fan. That's what.
Yeah, how are you a Cowboys fan in the state of New York? I don't understand that. When you got the Jets and the Giants.
I've never been a New York fan of nothing. Only I don't like none of the New York teams. Only team I like in New York and is the fact that I grew up around them is the Yankees. I grew up around Yankee Stadium. I used to play football right next to Yankee Stadium and going Yankees. So I grew up around the Yankees. So I love the Yankees. But everybody else in New York sucks. I'm a Houston Rocket fan. In the NBA. In football, I'm a Dallas fan. In hockey, I'm a Chicago Blackhawk fan.
Hey, y'all know what? That crack of the helmet, it did hit your skull, bro. It hit your skull. Because I ain't never met somebody who's divided of all loyalties in the state of New York.
And the sad thing is, all those teams you named, the color on your wall in the background is none of those colors. It's not the Black Hawks. It's not Dallas.
That's my Tampa Bay background, baby. Yeah, throwback.
That's hilarious. All right, then
That's my dude.
I'm gonna ask all of y'all. We're gonna jump into the NBA. We still got time. I'm gonna ask all of y'all. The NBA released the Hall of Fame finalists. Okay, the Hall of Fame finalists is Paul Pierce, Chris Bosh, Chris Webber, Michael Cooper, Ben Wallace, Marquise Johnson, Tim Hardaway, and Bill Russell got named as a coach. Talon, I'm gonna start with you, and I'm gonna throw this out there. And this is my opinion. I'm gonna throw this out there. I'm not sure Chris Bosh should be on the Hall of Fame ballot. That's just my opinion. I think Chris Bosh is an amazing player, but I looked at Chris Bosh. I was like, does his numbers, and his numbers are Hall of Fame numbers. With the eye test, it didn't seem like he had a Hall of Fame career to me. With the eye test,
yeah, I agree with you, and I would even put Ben Wallace next to him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I put those two guys with a little asterisk, little question mark. Like right now, Cooper makes the most sense in that group, and then you come to Paul Pierce, and maybe Weber. But those two guys right there, I'm sitting there scratching my head like, I don't know about that right now.
Yeah, I don't either.
Way too soon.
It might be too soon, but Fig, what's your thoughts?
You know, all right, I'm not going to mention LeBron James. But Chris Bosh was an all-star, a straight 2010 dude every single night in Toronto. He was the man. Like, you couldn't do nothing with Chris Bosh when he was in Toronto. You move, you go all the way down to Miami and join Dwayne Wade and LeBron James, and they make him a spot-up shooter. And he still did the damn thing. The championship that they won, where they talk about Ray Allen hit that three-pointer to save Miami against San Antonio, it was Chris Bosh that got that rebound.
Mm-hmm.
You made him a spot-up shooter, and you took away a lot of his numbers. Somebody else whose numbers fell, Kevin Love, when he went to Cleveland. Kevin Love was a double-double dude, 20 and 10, all night, every night. Now, all of a sudden, you go to play with a dude who needs the lane in order to be successful. You turn them into spot-up shooters, and now all of a sudden, these guys are now Hall of Fame.
No. Big. What I was saying, and I'm still stick with it, is the eye test. I said I looked it up this morning, and his numbers did match out Hall of Fame numbers. But with the eye test, when I think back about it, it just didn't seem like it to me. Not to say he's not.
Was you watching him in Toronto though?
Yeah. Again, not to say that he's not, but overall, when you get to the Hall of Fame, it's not about what your team did when you was at one team and you didn't fall off another team. It's your whole career. Smokey, what you think? Is anybody on that team, anybody in that list name you heard just now, you think that is going to, Smokey, you there with me? Smokey, Smokey with me?
Yeah.
Anybody? Yeah, all right, Smokey. Anybody in them names list you think is suspect about making the Hall of Fame? Or because you got Paul Pierce, Chris Bosh, Chris Webber, Michael Cooper, Ben Wallace, Marquise Johnson, and Tim Hardaway. What you think?
Out of all of those, I would say Ben Wallace.
Okay.
I mean, he was a great defensive player and all that, and he won a chip or whatever, but like, I don't see him as putting numbers up like, or putting work in like them other guys, like especially like Tim Hardaway. Tim Hardaway is classic.
Yeah, Tim Hardaway was a beast. Tim Hardaway was a beast.
You know what I'm saying? And Webber was a beast, and all the other dudes was like beasts on both sides of the ball. Like, you know what I'm saying? Ben was a great defensive player. He was a great defense. He wasn't putting up no.
Well, let me ask you a question. On that Detroit team, didn't they get 2 chips?
Yeah, they got 2 chips, and with
Rip Hamilton and Tyshawn Prince and all that.
Yeah,
so I think they got 2 chips with that team.
Yeah, one of those 2 chips they beat the Lakers. The Lakers
beat the Lakers.
Yeah,
Ben Wallace was the anchor of that team. He was their center. He was the undersized. What is Ben Wallace, like 6'9"? He was an undersized center. He was an undersized player. He played above the rim. He was their defensive stopper.
Yeah, he did a lot.
And he was severely undersized.
I just think it's too soon. I just think it's too soon. I don't think the guys don't have the numbers. I think that when it comes to the Hall of Fame type thing, you got a lot of cats been waiting forever, you know, to get inducted. And I think those guys are still, I look at those guys still kind of youthful. You know what I mean? Bosh and Ben Wallace.
Yeah.
Right. I like I said, and at the eye test, you know, a lot of people who are in the Hall of Fame, a lot of people are in the Hall of Fame, and you look at them and you say, yes, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm not talking about look at the numbers, because the numbers stay.
Right.
I'm not talking about, I'm just saying, look at the eye test, and the eye test is, yes, that guy makes, he should, you know what I mean? You go down the list. These guys make it. All I'm saying is, of this list right here, there's a couple of dudes on this list. Chris Bosh stands out to me, and my second guy would be Tim Hardaway. I mean, my second guy would literally be Ben Wallace. Now, Ben Wallace is amazing as a center. He's an amazing rebounder. But the Hall of Fame, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean,
well, first of all, Bosh looks soft. Let's face it. When any eye test, he's gonna fail. He's gonna fail all the eye tests. As soon as you look at him, you're like, let's keep it real. He's that guy. And Fig, hold up, Fig. I'm not saying he wasn't dope. I'm with Frank. The eye test. Okay, you ever look at NBA players, and some of those guys you look at through the eyes, just your vision, you be like, he don't look like he can hoop. They get out there, tear it up. But just looking at him, you're like, I can't see this guy. And then you see this guy. Like Bradley Beal don't look like a real hooper to me. You know, Dudley. Yeah. These guys don't look like they can do crap. And then you go to a game and they lighten it up.
Well, one thing's for sure.
I think the thing what happened with Chris Bosh is I think the blood clot, the injury that he had robbed, a lot of his career, like Tracy McGrady robbed his career. He robbed a lot of his career.
Brand Hill, all these guys who ended awkward. They ended like Spike Lee movies.
Yeah, they did. But Chris Bosh is the first person who cried on camera when they didn't win the NBA Finals. Does he get an honorable mention for that? Got to put about there. Now, let me ask you all this, man. How y'all feeling about Bill Russell finally making it in the Hall of Fame as a coach, for the first black coach, and as a coach? Like, he got in the Hall of Fame on his stats of being the coach. Not even whether he's black or white, but he's also the first black NBA coach. Smokey, I'm gonna start with you, man. How you feel about Bill Russell making it in the Hall of Fame as a coach? He's already there as a player.
Fuck about Bill Russell.
My man, Smokey.
Smokey's crazy.
Tyler, what you think?
Smokey said, I don't know. That is the craziest answer on any sports show ever. Hey, when you talk about Bill Russell, all the famous, I don't give a fuck about Bill. I think congratulations, man. I think, man, that's something that you talk about overdue. That took a long time. I think it's dope, man. That something like that makes me want to go up to the Basketball Hall of Fame to see how they do that. You know, is it one thing and you got both accolades, or is it two things, you know, in the Hall of Fame? That's kind of dope. I think it's dope.
Fig, what you think?
I think it was a long time coming, man. What happened, you know, Bill was a player and a coach at the same time, you know, which made it, like, you know, really crazy, man. The fact that he played and coached and got the team to win as a coach. And it just happened to be during the civil rights era. And a lot of people may not know this. I heard, was watching something. It happened right after the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. and Kennedy that he was able to accomplish that. So you could imagine the type of pressure that was on a black man in that era. And for him to be able to coach a team to a championship while playing, yeah, it's long overdue.
Well, I'll even top that one. Bill Russell was traveling with the team, with the Celtics, as a coach, and couldn't even sleep in the same hotel. Couldn't even walk through the front door of the same hotel with the team while he was a coach, and had won championships with the Celtics. Wherever they traveled across the country, he had to walk through the back door and sleep in the servant quarters while he was the head coach of the Boston Celtics when they won the championship. People don't tend to think about that.
So it's going to read in the Hall of Fame Bill Josephine Baker Russell.
No, they ain't gonna read that. It's gonna be Bill. It's gonna be Bill Backdoor Russell.
I'm telling Bernadette. I'm telling Bernadette, Frank.
That's funny, Frank. That's funny as hell.
It's true though. It's Backdoor. Bill Backdoor Russell. Bill, stop. Backdoor. You gotta go to the back door. You gotta go to the back door. Okay. You are not coming through the front door. He's probably the only. You know the funny thing is, he's probably the only person in the Hall of Fame right now who won a championship who had to go through the back
crazy
hotels, and that's a stat you ain't gonna see nowhere.
And that's why I love it, man. He's a walking the movie The Green Book. Bill Russell.
Yep. I know you don't care about
funny. Bill Russell get ready to go in there, and they be like, oh, well, where you going? Go get me some. More like
this. Whoa.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Smokey, thank you for joining the show, man. What you got coming up, man? Talk to me. Tell me what you got going on. I know everything's going on in the world of Smokey. What's going on in the world of Smokey?
Okay, I'm selling crack now, sister.
While he's twiddling, check it out. While he's twiddling his shirt, right there. You see what looks like a crackhead.
Checks together. We bought a lot of crack, and we're trying to move.
He got it together.
We trying to get white people out of Harlem.
Oh
man! Smokey, how can we follow you?
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Smokey Suarez. I just finished a new movie called Colorblind recently. I just finished a movie called Colorblind. Should be coming out in August. I just did a new comedy show called The Get Off coming on Amazon Prime. And like I said, I got that crack in the hood again. So.
Hey, Smokey, thank you for joining the show, brother. Man.
That's hilarious, man. And then if the cops catch him, he gonna wonder how he got caught. You told on you. That's how you got caught.
Smokey, thanks for joining the show, brother. I appreciate you, man.
My man. That's why. We just lost all the sponsors. Bill Russell was talking about sponsoring us. He's not going to do it.
Anybody who sat there actually thought about it, they were like, yeah, no, we ain't going to.
But you know what's funny is how he said, we got a bunch of people together and put a bunch of
Holy Smokey. I wanted to bring him on the show because I knew he was a big Dallas Cowboys fan. I've been trying to get him for a couple of days. I wanted to surprise you all.
Oh, speaking of that, your boy Leon Rogers want to come on the show out of Chicago.
Out of Chicago? That's my dude, man.
Yeah. He's been watching. He's like, you know I like sports. I said, I'll talk to Frank.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Now, let me talk about this one last thing, but it's kind of serious. Myers Leonard jumped up on and he was playing a game. Myers Leonard is playing a game, and he's calling people names and everything else. And then he said, "This is really stupid." Then he said an anti-Semitic slur, right, during a game, and then think he was playing against no Jewish people. Like, dude, you saying slurs in a game, and then he issued an apology, and the NBA is investigating. Now, this is my thing. I'm gonna say this: if he had said, the N-word, or if he had said a couple of other words, I think he'd already be suspended. But because he said an anti-Semitic word, I don't think it's fair to the Jewish people. I think he should be suspended immediately. Talon, what you think?
Well, from what I heard or read, that he had to take a little leave from the team, so it's kind of like a suspension. But I just don't understand how we're in 2021 and people still do things like we're in 1988. Like, you got to know that the powers that be or somebody, we know now what's offensive and what's not for the most part. And you got to know somebody's always around, or there's always a camera, or you're always on a microphone, that somebody's going to have a problem with it and poke it out. Like, you got to be crazy to even do it. I agree with you. If it was the N-word or a racial slur towards Anglo-Saxon or something like that, anything derogatory that you would have suspended them for, you got to officially go on record and do that for this too.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this for the Jewish people, he needs. Why is it taking so long? That's not fair to Jewish people. You said a Jewish slur, you need to be gone like right now. I mean, 1 game, 2 games, whatever it is. If he said it during while he's playing a game for especially where kids could be on it, Fig, he needs to be suspended now. Like, I don't understand. What you think?
The funny thing about it is that if he was a TV show, they would have canceled him immediately because that community, the Jewish community, is heavily involved in TV and movies. They're really strong in that industry. So probably because it was a basketball game, and I would say an easy 80% of NBA basketball is African American. Had he said a racial slur towards African Americans, then would have been a really big deal. He probably would have been a really big deal with his team, and then all of the other teams that you got to play because 80 to 90% of those dudes are pretty much African American that you have to see every night. But there's no difference. A racial slur is a racial slur, and it's just that it's just that European white men have to wake up and realize that this stuff is not acceptable anymore. Some of them don't realize the new climate that we're in. This stuff is just not acceptable anymore. You can't grope women. You can't, sexually harass them, racial slurs, like all of that stuff is really, it should have been unacceptable, but it's really unacceptable now.
You know what the worst part is that he might not realize he's in the NBA playing with, he's in professional sports playing with other Jewish players. You know what I mean? Like there are players, some of those white players that you think are white, they are Jewish. Some of them guys are Jewish.
Hold up. Let me tell you something. I'm sorry, Frank. The thing that I heard today, the owners of his team are Jewish.
That's what I was going to say. The owners are, pretty much Jewish who run any form of sports and entertainment.
Yeah, his team. The owners of the team that he plays for are Jewish. Duh.
I don't know. And then it makes it worse. Fig made a point too. It makes it worse. Like he's a European player. In Europe, it's worse to say that. Well, you thought when you came over to the United States, it's not that bad to say that word. You think you could, and on top of it, you could think you could play it on a game system and think it wouldn't get out there. I mean, like that's horrible. I mean, it's horrible. I think the NBA, and I'm gonna leave this at this point. I think the NBA is saying a lot by not doing anything right now, by sitting there saying they investigating. If he said the word, there's nothing to investigate. It's nothing to investigate. If he said the word, he needs to get suspended. That's my thoughts. Why wait so long? I don't know.
All I know is I'm just worried about the price going up on bagels and knishes everywhere. I don't need this. Money is already tight.
For all you sponsors out there who wanted to sponsor, I'm sorry. I knew
Hey. And we like bagels, yo. And
I like bagels.
In New York, yo, a knish was dope for lunch. They
yes, sir.
Put mustard on it. Yo, I'm that dude. Hey, listen, for all the Jews that want to sponsor the box seats, I spent a lot of money at Cat's Restaurant in New York City. That was my favorite spot.
All I'm talking about is money is tight. I just had a bagel this morning. If the prices go up on these bagels because this dude is saying anti-Semitic slurs, I'm going to be really upset. And more importantly than that, Frank, we got bigger problems. Smokey said he don't give a fuck about Bill Russell.
That's right. And let me tell you something. My favorite hot dog, because I'm a hot dog person, was Hebrew National. And Hebrew National answers to a higher authority.
We gotta get ready to go. That's the show, y'all. We gotta get ready to roll out. I need to thank Stacks coming into the show. It was good to see him. Ain't seen him in a minute. And I need to thank Smokey Suarez for joining the show with his quote of the year that I can't repeat. I gotta figure out how to edit that before I put it up.
Hey Frank, Smokey's a comedian.
Yeah, I know this. Everybody, thank you for watching the show, man. Tell everybody out there how to follow you.
You can follow me on my new website. I don't give a damn about BillRussell.com. We're going to be on there all day putting things up today. Or It's Just Comedy on Twitter, Talent the Comedian on Instagram, Facebook, King Talent. Bang.
You can follow your boy Comedian Fig on social media platforms right here, y'all. Right there. It's right there at Comedian Fig right there. Or you can get your boy on the box seats Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. The best damn sports show on TV.
All right, this is the channel. The show's the box seats. The channel's the humor mill. I need to thank Smokey for joining the show. I need to thank Stack for coming in. Thanks to Talent. Thanks to Fig. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Show starts again tomorrow at 1 o'clock. We're gonna have some more special guests, some comics, some actors, all that. Can't wait for y'all to see. Thanks for joining the show. Take care.
Peace.